Hi, everybody. I present you the Black Sea, my presentation is about the Black Sea level fluctuation during the 6th to 5th millennia BCE. Found evidence from the Prehamangia and Hamangia settlement in Romania. For the first half of the 6th millennium BCE in Dobroja region of the Western Black Sea, there is a few data on human habitation, with a controversial theory stipulating that the region was not inhabited at all in Neolithic time. However, recently, at Palazzo Mare, a site that is located today on the shore of the Sughiu Lake, remains of Neolithic population called Prehamangia, dated 5,700–5,400 BC, have been identified. Starting with 5,200 BC in Dobroja, the Hamangia community were established, but which at the level of material culture, according to the archaeological evidence, only show similarities with the distant population of Anatolia. Thus, the colonization of Dobroja in this millennium remains a current topic of discussion. Several hypotheses have been accepted: the resilience of the hunter-gatherer population, the climatic and geographical conditions were unsuitable for the manifestation of Neolithic population, colonization was carried out by sea or coastal route, possible due to low level of the Black Sea and the coastline much more distant than the current one. In this study, we will focus our discussion more on the hypothesis of coastal colonization. For this, we analyzed a set of data obtained from various fields: geology, biology, archaeology, thus relevant information about climate change, the evolution of the static level in the Western Black Sea, and the cultural characteristic of the Neolithic population of Dobroja will be analyzed. The most consistent data set used for this purposes comes from the analysis of the faunal remains discovered in archaeological sites. These sites that provided faunal materials are coastal sites located on the shore of the nowadays lakes or lagoons: Techirghiol, one site Techirghiol Paloda, Sudghiol, three sites Palazzo Mare, Constanța Moby Park, and Constanța Carrefour, but also on the Casincha River, which currently flow into the coastal lake Tașaul, one site Cheia. Data from other Hamangia sites such as Duranculat, Chamurlia by Hamangia, or from the Gumelța culture 4,400 BCE, such as Novodari or Taraschina, were also used. Faunistic analyses were carried out for all these sites, which allowed us to characterize the population in Dobroja from the point of view of the main food providing activity. In order to reconstruct the polar environment, the ecological requirements of aquatic species were detailed. For the fish remains, a series of isotopic analyses were performed to determine the carbon and nitrogen isotopes value in an attempt to characterize the ecological group specific to each species: freshwater, brackish, marine, or mixed, as in the case of anadromous fish, which live in the sea and migrate upstream on rivers. To ensure the accuracy of interpretation of Hamangia archaeological complexes that provided osteological remains for this study were C14 dated. Starting with the 6,700 BCA, the dispersion of Anatolian population from Asia Minor to the Balkan take place, so-called first wave. The most important period of migration is recorded around 6,200 BCA, after the effects of climate change have diminished. The routes used after crossing the Bosphorus were those to the west along the river valley or the coastal route. No evidence has yet been identified northward along the Black Sea coast. For the central area of Bulgaria, Krauss and collaborators analyzed a series of C14 dates and conclude that in the first half of the 6th millennium BCA, around 5,800 BCA, Caranovo II culture, the elements related to migration disappear, and the trend will be for regional development and evolution. The site at Palazzo is also dated to this period and apparently would present all the characteristics of the regional expansion of Neolithic population towards the east, a process characterized by a fairly slow speed. After Malak Veslavec, Palazzo is the easternmost identified site. Various factors have been proposed related to the resilience of Mesolithic population, Danube Valley as a border, the predominant use of route that followed river valleys. However, most likely it is that climatic change had a decisive impact and the expansion to the east was possible only after climatic effects have stopped, cold and dry summer, starting with 5800 BCA. The animal economy of the Palazzo site is typical of the Neolithic period and characterized a population of herder, cattle, sheep, and goats predominate 99%, and game or exclusively freshwater aquatic resources are food supplements. The lack of marine elements, fish, or even mollusks at Palazzo can be explained by low interest in reaching the marine coastal area, probably due to lack of pasture with adequate vegetation, but most likely due to the difficult access to such an area, sand dune, or area with salt marshes. From our point of view, it's also correlates with the transitional period of salinity value to the marine value, which will have represented a period of adaptation of potential food animal species to the new environmental condition. The reconnection of the Black Sea, a freshwater lake at the time, to the Mediterranean Sea, it's taking place around 9400 BP during late Mesolithic period, when the first value of the initial marine input proposed by Major and collaborator are recorded, confirming the increase in salinity. Recently, data obtained by Huang and collaborators confirmed that the Black Sea surface salinity range from the 6 to 7 practical salinity unit between 9.4 to 7.6 Ka-BP due to a significant input of fresh water from the river of the Black Sea basin, and from the 6 to 11 units between 7.6 to 6.9 Ka-BP. Also, Boudreau and collaborators demonstrate that around 7.7 Ka-BP, salinity increased rapidly to the value of 5, which led to the appearance of the euryhaline marine organism at 7.5 Ka-BP. So starting from the middle of the 6th millennium BC and until its end, salinity reaches values that can characterize the Black Sea waters as brackish. With the help of carbon and nitrogen isotope analysis performed on fish species migrating from the Black Sea upstream on the Danube River, identified in the Romania and Serbian Mesolithic site, we try to observe whether the salinity variation of the Black Sea can be highlighted using this type of approach. For the period before the reconnection in the blue, or after the reconnection in red, we find lower carbon isotope value. These values can be explained by a reduced terrigenous input compared to that of Danube, close to that of the individual that feed in the marine environment, but for freshwater species. In this case, salmonid, we call these yellow dots.
You have 5 minutes, Valentin, okay?
Therefore, at the beginning of the 6th millennium BCA, there was a low salinity value as a result of its slow increase, exactly as suggested by geomorphological data. For the end of the 6th millennium BCA, around 5200 BCA, more archaeological information is available. The coastal site at Techeghiol, Constanța, and the one of the Casincha River at Cheia were analyzed. The main activity for obtaining food remains animal husbandry, but some interest is also given to the exploitation of the environment through hunting or fishing. Overall, we observed the presence of marine species in blue such as mollusk, cardium or Mytilus, and fish, sturgeon, sea breams, Parus aurata, turbot, Seta maxima, mullet, mugil, cephalus. Also, faunal data identify in the stratigraphic context that C14 confirmed the presence of species of marine origin. Furthermore, remains of cetaceans, various dolphin species, and a terrestrial remains on the monk seal, Monachus monachus, were identified, these being the oldest evidence of the presence of these mammals in the Western Black Sea area. Isotopic analysis confirmed that the analyzed individual lived in a marine environment, low carbon value between -19 and -16. The value from a Black Sea roach, Ruterus frisi from Kea and Constanța, light green dot, were compared with those from coastal like site Novodari and Danube Delta site Taraschina from the later period, Gumelnița culture. We observed close value due, of course, to the location of this site at the time near marine lagoon with access to the sea. We also obtained surprising result for pike perch, orange dot, which fell within value for a marine environment. The presence of scale of remains from marine fish species confirmed that part of the Tașau Lake was freshwater, and towards the coastal area it was connected to a lagoon, a corridor that would have allowed access of anadromous species such as sturgeon and Black Sea roach, or could have been used as feeding or spawning area for marine pike perch individual. Focusing on C14 dates from the analyzed site, we specify that all data were obtained on bones from herbivorous mammals. For the Hamangia culture, we note that the oldest dating are those obtained at Techegil and Kea, 5200, 5000 KLBC. Until now, these are even earlier than the dates from Duranculac and confirm the early habitation of the site from Kea and Techegil. So, at the beginning of the 5 millennium BCE, the coastline between Varna and Techegil, and most likely up to Constanța, seems to have been close to that of today. Thus, archaeological data confirms the increase in the water level of the Black Sea to ±2 meters compared to the current one proposed by geomorphological data. Therefore, starting from the end of the 6th millennium BCE, a south to north evolution of the coastline advancement is detected. And regarding the salinity of Black Sea, archaeological data, such as the remains of marine species migrating through the Mediterranean Sea, dolphin and seal, or gill-head sea bream, dated to the end of the 6th millennium BCE, confirmed that the value of that period allowed the survival of these species. For marine mammals, seal and dolphin, life in the freshwater is possible for several weeks, but the harmful effects on the skin are ignored when they following their food that migrate for the Mediterranean Sea, such as gill-head sea bream, for example. Current data show that salinity concentration of over 5 units do not significantly influence the life of this marine animal for a short period of time. All these results obtained from the analysis of archaeological material are complementary and convergent to the geomorphological one. Moreover, even if they are circumstantial, they establish a narrow time frame than geological one. Related to the evolution of salinity, archaeological material confirmed that salinity in the Black Sea after reconnection increased slowly around 5700 BCE. It reached a value of 5 and continued to increase, so that around 5400 BCE, every Halin animal from the Mediterranean populate the Black Sea. Evidence of fish and mammal migrating for food or reproduction being found in the Hamangia archaeological site, starting with 5200 BCE. And regarding the evolution of the coastline at the end of the 6th millennium BC, archaeological evidence suggests that it was close to the present day. In this condition, the continental route followed by the population of the second wave of the Neolithization will be more accessible for colonizing the Western Black Sea area. Even if we cannot definitively rule them out, the proposed coastal or marine colonization route of Dobrogea must be treated with caution. And thank you. for your attention.
Thank you, Valentin. We have time for questions, comments. Dimitra, please.
Yes, thank you, Valentin, for this. I have a question. Have you checked how the dating and this the opening of the Black Sea into the Aegean has affected the Mesolithic sites on that side of the water?
The Mesolithic site from northwestern Black Sea coast in
No,
Georgia.
no, you described how things changed in your side when
I talk about the materials from the Mesolithic site in Danube Gorge, but it's the only
that
site
was
from Mesolithic who have fish remains and like sturgeon, for example.
okay.
And I checked if they because they spend the part of their life in Black Sea
Yeah.
and the feeding on stream up on a Danube River. So
Okay, I think I misunderstood.
yeah.
I thought you were talking about a coastal site. I'm
The
sorry.
coastal side, but I checked the value of isotopic value of the fishes to check if their feeding in the water with high salinity.
You know, there is an interesting issue which is not part of your research, but it's kind of interesting that when the Black Sea opens into the Aegean, then what happens in the Black Sea has a very profound effect on the Aegean waters as well,
Yeah.
and on what sort of fish you find there during the Mesolithic. And not only what sort of fish, but how much fish you find there during the Mesolithic. But never mind. I think I misunderstood what you said earlier. Thank you.
Good. Yes. Finish.
Perfect. So we go for a break now for 10 minutes, I think. And we come back here for Arturo's keynote speech at 3:30. And Nelson will be chairing the session.